if you imagine as my legs gone round him, my knee is bent behind his back. So as he's gone down, his full body weight's just like, imagine my knee bent, his full body weight's just gone clattered into it, and my knee basically just shattered.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw something up there.
Yeah.
You can clarify this for me and that.
Here we go.
No offence to anyone
Do you
in
know
that.
what he's about us?
Why do most of them people stink?
Which people? The people in the bands, or
like just people in that scene?
Because they're dancing a lot and get sweaty, probably. Or do you just mean in general, like day-to-day life and that?
Lifting on to some of them.
When I say the word scream, like you know exactly. No, I probably
do you know when you come off stage, you throw
like,
haggard and that?
If
You're like,
I did it now, I'm not
packs
sure
of halls.
like, my voice would be able to do it.
Is that on your radar?
That's no way.
Was it Nottingham Forest? They actually like had people like on the floor.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because there's no room in that.
People had like bags on the floor and that because they didn't actually.
They didn't have a
mate, you sat on the floor cross-legged and all that.
Like you get in to like
Jesus
giving you
All the gear,
150
no
grand
idea.
a week.
That's it.
Yeah, actually.
Enjoy, boys.
Are we off here?
Inside. Yes, now then crew, another episode of the Smogcast. Big up as always for locking in. As always, I've got the lads Mickey and Jack next to me, and today we've got a very interesting guest with us. We've got a man like Boddy. What you say, my bro?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Buzzing.
Cheers for having us on.
No, mate.
Good stuff.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Quite a lot to talk about, to be honest with you, mate, because like you've been doing quite a lot of things, haven't you?
Being a busy boy.
Yeah, you have, mate. I mean, well,
I'm toes and everything.
Fingers in all the parts. I don't know how the lads feel about it, but something I want to get straight into, mate, because like I used to love it when I was a kid and all that, the whole wrestling situation.
It's pretty mad, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, can you just try and expand a little bit more on that, please?
Yeah. Obviously, like pretty much everybody that a large majority, I'd say, probably watched wrestling back in the day. Like pretty much, I got heavily into it. Maybe a bit late by the time like 2006 come about, and like you know, like I think 2006 was like rebirth of DX, all sorts like that. I was like, this is what I want to do when I'm older. So I must have been 12 was when I went to my first ever training.
All right.
Like,
how old are you now, sorry, mate?
I'm 28.
28 now.
Yeah. I just look about 12 still. I'm surprised it didn't knock many years off me, like some of the like injuries I picked up from it. But yeah, like it was mad. Like it was. So I was 12 years old, just on Google, and this is probably the time when websites were Pixel. I don't know if you remember when Pixel was like. So there was something called iwf.pixel.com or something that I found just researching Newcastle wrestling schools. Like, I don't even know if that was what you'd call it, a school, but that's what I was looking for. And then I come across
and is that what they're actually called though, right? A wrestling school?
IWF. Like, is that what?
Like say like
like Academy, like WWE have their own performance center now, which is like I don't know if you've seen what they're doing, which is basically just like they looked at what NFL were doing and like what WWE do now. They just have a massive center with probably like 20 rings, and they don't like really recruit like wrestlers anymore, like from the indie scenes. They go to like colleges, find like athletes, and then what they do now, they give them like a contract and basically say, I think it's something along the lines of, if you don't become a footballer out there, we'll give you a contract, and then at the end of it, if you want, you can join WWE. And they'll train them to be like, it's like you got the athleticism, but like come train with Shawn Michaels for fucking 3 years, and I'm sure that you'll be alright. Because but yeah, so like for me, it was a place in you will probably know Jarrow. Yeah. So there's a community centre. I'm not even sure if it's even still there. But IWF basically had it every Sunday. They had a training academy. You go in, pay a tenner subs every weekend, and then what they do is they probably have a show on a Saturday, and then they do the training on the Sunday. So sometimes you'd be training with the lads who are doing the shows. Some people are just trainees, and then you'd basically the incentive was train there long enough, get onto the shows, and then what IWF basically did is they targeted mostly social clubs back then. I think a lot of them now, you see them, a lot of the like indie shows, like we went to Rise the other week and that was at Brunel Social Club.
Oh, right.
Mate, it's fucking epic.
And I've seen some videos you posted, look wicked,
like top draw, like honestly, like and there's some lads there that I've known from back in the day. I just dropped a message, I was just like, can we come down, and we had a wicked night. Like,
been in the Brunel, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like obviously the roof's low as fuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like literally, mate, these cunts are like on the fucking top 10 bubble. Like, Ed's literally about that far away from the roof, mate, and they're like doing fucking backflips and fucking swanton bombs and all sorts of fucking shite off it. And there's no barriers, you know, like obviously in proper wrestling, there's like barriers, all the stuff on the TV. That, like, it's just all standing, so as soon as you're outside the ring, you just literally ringside stood there, and these are fucking diving out the ring, landing in the crowd and that.
Oh, yeah, get in.
The fucking Brunel Social Club.
So yeah, like a lot of them sort of venues is what they were doing. So like social clubs Newcastle wise, IWF had a good thing. They basically just looked at the metro lines. Newcastle, and they pretty much just targeted the metro line. Like say it was a stretch from, because they do Sunderland as well. They just like look at a line of stations to go to. Do this one weekend, maybe a show every 2 weeks to a month. And then the next show would be the next metro line along, and they'd always like find the closest to the metro station venue. So if it was like, best example I could give is Long Benton.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They used to always have like the best shows at Long Benton because you get off Long Benton metro station and the fucking social club's right there.
Oh
like,
yeah.
So
clever.
Yeah.
It's like a little fake they had, wasn't it?
Especially back then, because there wasn't really Twitter, there wasn't Instagram and that. Especially because this is what 2000.
I always think, like, you know, promoting stuff back in the day, it must have been fucking rock hard compared to now.
To be fair, like, it was like nobody was getting paid on them shows back then. Like, it was like the wrestlers were the ones that put the ring up every day. Like, I would go to the shows and like, because being 12 and being a trainee, you're not really going to get on the show. With a lot of these bigger guys. So yeah, a lot of the times I was there first thing, putting the ring in the van, getting the ring out the van at the venue, put the ring up, probably end up like on the camera or something, record the shows, take the ring down, and like properly like paying my dues now. Like where I imagine it's probably not really the same. Like I got back into training again down in Sheffield like at the start of the year. I haven't been back for a while because I've just been busy as hell, but it's something I definitely want to like, just for like not even really to do shows, just for a fitness aspect. Like when I was wrestling, like the cardio, like you're up and down, like you're hitting the ground, you're up again, like you're on to the next thing. Like it's like one of the most intense workouts you could ever do. Like I could probably run like a mile when I was younger, like without even being out of breath. Where if I did it now, I'd probably die.
How long were you doing it for? So from 12 to what age?
I was 19 when I had my last ever show, and by then I was pretty much sick of it in a way of like my body was battered, like my elbows, like honestly they're like cement mixers, like my knees now, like if I like click them, like they just go.
So how do these fuckers do it? Like Undertaker, he's fucking 60-year-old or something, isn't he?
Painkillers and all
that. With steroids and that, won't it?
Percocets, mate. Like Kurt Angle's broke his neck and people were calling him Perk Angle when he was at his like.
Yeah, he did break his neck, didn't he?
He broke his neck.
I seen the situation with Undertaker was in an interview. I can't remember what it was on, but he was saying.
I just watched him on.
Undertaker's fucked, by the way. He's not just walking around like absolutely.
Yeah, obviously shot bits. But I just think how they've done it for like fucking 30, 40 years. I seen him on the Mike Tyson podcast like fucking the other week, and like he was like obviously he was saying his stories and that about when he had when he was on the Hell in the Cell with Mick Foley and that, and he was like that was never part of the plan to shut him off there. He's just fucking nuts. He was just like that. Obviously took like the WWE to the next level, but like apparently like Vince McMahon like said to like Mick Foley afterwards, Mankind whatever, said like
never do
like,
that again.
Thank you so much, but you don't understand what you've just done for the industry, but don't ever fucking do that again.
Yeah, it's mad that, isn't it? Like, because it was massive, that wasn't it?
Shane McMahon did it,
mental, wasn't it? Like,
a few years ago, Shane McMahon, I swear, did it. Like,
yeah, he did. Because Mike Tyson said, like, what were you thinking when you were up there now? And, like, Undertaker was just thinking, just fucking please land on that table. Because if you don't land on that table,
you're dead.
You're fucking hitting concrete.
Like... Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say about the Undertaker. Like one of the interviews I was watching, like obviously with your body getting so shot a bit, like his knee was that bad. He finally got an operation on it. Like he had the injury for about 15 years, and he just like learned to like changed his like walking that to like accommodate for it. So when he had the operation on his knee, he could walk properly again. He had to actually learn how to walk again completely. Because he was walking in such a way that like it was like accommodating.
Obviously,
having to get an operation and then learning how to walk again because he needs to be in that fucked. Like.
When he was working Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and you know the end of the streak, that wasn't meant to happen. Like he genuinely was so fucked that like Brock Lesnar had to pin him. And like that, so even the crew were probably like, "What the fuck? He wasn't actually meant to win that."
Was Undertaker meant to win it?
Yeah. But apparently, like he got rushed straight to hospital. Vince McMahon went with him while the show was like still going on. Like apparently he was like I can't remember what had happened to him, but he wasn't in a good way where he couldn't basically stand up or anything. So like he just ended up getting pinned, and Brock Lesnar broke the streak. But I guess it makes more sense if you're gonna ever like break the streak, at least do it to the guy who's absolutely decked people in UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a legit champion.
What will he have said to him? Like, you need to fucking just pin me because I'm fucked, sort of thing.
Probably the crowd like in it.
Yeah, like if you hurt, like, and you can't. A lot of them will go through like the pain barrier. Like there's times I popped my hip out in a ladder match. I got hit.
It sounds mad. You're just like talking about it like that. Like
I was climbing the ladder. You know, you do the slow climb up, reach the belt, can't reach it, climb up, sell it. Guy comes in, fucking ladder right in my hip, and my hip just went that way. And like when I was walking, like it felt like my hip and my rib was like clicking against each other, and I just remember being absolutely crocked. But I still managed to get you got the adrenaline with it. Like the only time when I've literally like my kneecap. I don't know if you see the scar on my knee.
Oh right, yeah.
I did a crossbody. On like mate, this fucking venue. I think it was in like Sunderland, and it was tiny. Like literally, there's no reason I should have even went at the top rope, anyways. To be honest.
Well, I was thinking that in the fucking Brood now.
Yeah.
We were on the top rope, and that bit, and the Reds are like
it was probably a lower roof, to be honest. I don't know why I even done it, but I must have only been like pretty new, like maybe 2 years of shows into it, 3 years of shows into it. I didn't even have like decent gear at the time. It was all just plain sort of stuff. And I did a crossbody off the top rope on this guy called R.D. Wood. And I don't think he's wrestling anymore, but crossbody, obviously you diving sideways and the geezer's going to catch us like straight on. So one leg under, one leg above, arms under, and he's going to drop back. But if you imagine as my leg's gone round and my knee is bent behind his back. So as he's gone down, his full body weight's just like, imagine my knee bent, his full body weight's just gone clattered into it. And my knee basically just shattered to the side. And like I haven't even got nerves in this knee still. Like I don't know what's going on. I should probably worry about it.
Supposed to keep your legs straight when you do that. Like.
I should probably worry about it.
Are you supposed to keep your legs straight when you do that? Like.
I mean, you're sort of not fully, like you can do, but like Artie Wood's not, he's about my height as well, so like you want to like try not to fully land on somebody, so like you sort of do, like you're gonna land like forearms and a bit of knees, do you know what I mean, like so you're not getting full pressure, because the whole thing about wrestling is like and everybody knows now it's fake, and everything in it.
You know what's mad about it? The fake thing is like, yeah, it's technically fake. It's not a real fight, but like, it's not faking like what you're actually doing, is it? You're actually fucking getting hurt, and it's like it's more of a show, isn't it?
Well, you can't fake gravity is the only thing. If you're gonna fucking, if like you say, Undertaker throws Mick Foley off that cell. He didn't land on a fucking like foam pit. Do you know what I mean? He landed on a fucking table that probably just broke his fall. But the next morning, do you think he woke up being like,
even getting like fucking power bombed on the fucking like ring and that, like all that fucking.
Well, if you think that all the rings are just plywood boards, like the IWF ring that I used to train in was literally plywood board. A lot of them are different now. Like
they have springs underneath or something.
Some have springs, some don't. It's weird. Like so, because the plywood's quite bendy, that sort of takes the impact. IWF's ring was quite nice in a way that it had a spring in the middle, but like they only started putting actual like like the sort of like PE gym school mats.
Yeah.
They only started putting them in like later on, like a few years down the line, and it actually like was like literally like the nicest ring to bump in. Mm-hmm. But like when I first started, like took my first ever bump, it was like carpet underlay, that bubbly, that bubbly like shit.
What do you mean when you say a bump?
So a bump in wrestling is just like whether you take like like you
just an
basically
impact.
that's your impact on the ground. Like, you know, if you're getting slammed, that's a bump. Like, you basically you're taking a bump, like front bump, back bump, doing a flip bump. Anything is just taking a bump, basically. That's sort of the terminology in wrestling.
So you know, because obviously it's scripted in that.
Yeah.
So say, you know, when you're like having your like matchup in the ring, are you just like, do you know, like when you're flowing in and out of like things, like how do you know what like each other's gonna do?
Yeah.
It depends, I guess. Like, there's different.
You just sort of read like how you're like flinging someone about, then know what you're gonna go into or what you
like,
talk.
So like it depends. Like, you're not gonna, if you're wrestling for an hour, the chances of you remembering an hour spot like match is not really gonna happen. So you might have a few ideas, be like, oh, like we should probably do this as a finish. Maybe this is a little good idea, and then we'll just go out there and see what happens. So a lot of it's talking together. I mean, like WWE wise, I'm surprised you can't really hear it as much because like their cameras are literally in their face. But every now and again, like John Cena, like if you're watching him, like he's just talking like, because the crowd's so loud you can't hear them anyways. Like, if you're watching them, they're talking and stuff. Communicate through the referee. If you're on one side, the ref's right in front of you, and the other geezer's on top of the rope, just like, oh, tell him to slow down or whatever. Like, referee goes over, like, get down. He says slow down, like, so you can use the ref to communicate.
What's that if you just need a phone, you're a bit pagged, you need 5 minutes?
Not to, you might just be like, I've just like winded the fuck out myself, or like something's hurting, or like just calling things in the match. Just tell them I'm just gonna duck a clothesline and then give one. Like, you got to be quick with it, but it depends obviously how experienced you are, how often you've like worked with somebody. Like, if you know somebody inside and out, then you might not even have to plan anything. You might just be like, we pretty much know. I ended up wrestling this lad called Brett Eagle, who we actually went to school with and then trained together as well. And we wrestled each other that much that we pretty much didn't even need to go out there and plan anything. Because there was a time we wrestled in Wakefield, and then the day after probably wrestled in Newcastle. And we just did the same match. There's no need to communicate it. Like, we pretty much
I suppose
know
that's
each
what it's
other's
like with the
stuff.
WWE as well. Like, they're all training and doing like everything.
I mean, like, I was listening to Ric Flair on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and he asked the same question to Ric Flair, and Ric Flair was like, nah, I don't really plan anything, like, because he's just so used to just go, like, the way he sees it and working with them big crowds, he doesn't know what anything's going to be like until he's actually out there. He like, it's Ric fucking Flair, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like, so it's like if you were wrestling John Cena, he's going to do his fucking 5 moves of doom. Like, he's going to do a 5 knuckle shuffle, he's going to give you an FU, he's going to do that shoulder barge thing. You know, like, you know what John Cena's going to do, so if you can't go out and wrestle John Cena, like, you're crazy, do you know what I mean? It's obviously a bit different in the indies. You might end up wrestling some guy from down south that you've never met before, and you're going to want to plan some stuff, so it's probably more common in the indies that you're planning a match, and the main thing you're probably going to do is plan a start, middle, end. Everything in between is pretty much just worked like out through, like, because if you notice, the start's usually like, there's a way, like, structure matches. It'll be like the baby face, which is like the good guy in wrestling, the heel, which is the bad guy in wrestling. You'll see a lot of it as maybe the start is getting who's over as the baby face, who's the bad guy. They come together. You might see some things where the baby face is just like getting all his stuff in on the bad guy. He's bumping him around, he's throwing him about. Bad guy gets out the ring, he's like, I'm not getting back in. He might come back in, you go to drop an elbow, he slides back out. He might cheat, like gouge your eyes or something, and then for the next like 5 minutes he's just beating on the baby face, and that's purely to get the crowd behind it. Like, so every now and again the baby face might fight up on what's called the hope spot. Like, it's like making it look like he's building up, but then all of a sudden he just gets clattered down, the bad guy's back on top again. So majority of like in between is like, the middle would be your hope spots, the start is probably the baby face getting like up on the heel, hope spot, and then you go home spot, which is finishing the match. You know, it's where you see the big moves come out, the false finishes coming out. You know,
have you ever like, because obviously people have made it like from the UK and that haven't then went to like big organisations, whether it's WWE or like other organisations in America. Do you know anyone from the UK?
Yeah, like,
worked with anyone who's made it like over there?
A few people, to be fair. Well, Pac, if you've heard of a guy called the Bastard Pack from Newcastle. He was
what organisation's he with?
He's at AEW now. So he'll be wrestling at the Wembley show that they've got coming up. At Wembley Stadium. I can't even remember when that is. But he was at WWE before he was like AEW's first big signings. Like, I don't have you heard of AEW?
Yeah, didn't they take a load from like WWE?
Yeah,
they're the ones who have the different shape ring.
Nah, that's TNA back in the day.
TNA, they have like is it like 6 things instead of 4?
TNA was 6-sided. AEW is just 4-sided.
Yeah,
so AEW is just like the alternative to WWE. It was started by the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, who's now back at WWE. They basically were being linked with going back to WWE. Well, Cody Rhodes going back to WWE, and then the other hottest free agents out there were getting linked with going to WWE. And then a guy called Tony Khan, who owns Fulham Football Club, who's a massive wrestling fan, was like, let's start, because he's a fucking billionaire. He was like, let's start our own business. They basically did a show called All Out, or it was All In, can't remember, one or the other. Not under AEW, but as like a sort of a practice run to see if there was an appetite for it. They sold like 10,000 tickets in Chicago Arena, like in half an hour or something. So then that gave them the idea of getting a TV deal and all this stuff. Signed Chris Jericho, and then so like Chris Jericho was like their first big guy, and then second guy I'd say was probably Pac. So Pac being from Newcastle, Pac started at.
So what will he be on, like a good salary and that, like doing all that?
I imagine like getting paid like getting decent. I mean, there's probably some wrestlers who are at WWE who probably don't actually get paid as much as you think they would. Like I imagine WWE is more based on, are you on the poster? Are you like in the main event? Are you the champion?
Are you drawing money?
Exactly. Like fucking Roman.
The build you're up through it.
Yeah, like Roman Reigns right now is probably the top guy in the whole of the industry, and I imagine Roman Reigns is getting a ridiculous amount compared to somebody who's on the first. Like,
it kind of sort of sounds like, in the money aspect, it sort of kind of sounds a bit like the UFC. Where like if you're you're in the top like few.
Yeah,
like,
you just money, get paid for where you are on the card. Like I imagine like when The Rock comes in, he probably. Say if you got The Rock at WrestleMania.
Does he still do the odd guest bits?
He hasn't done one for a while, but he wrestled John Cena and CM Punk like a few years back. That's probably the last time.
Got to pay the wedge for
that. Just for one match. There's like a daft one.
So, but like I think he's probably got like 9 million or something. But it's the fucking Rock, like so. Nobody's gonna get that wedge unless you're
like,
The Rock. Like
people like when The Rock's wrestling, I would imagine. See, like I don't watch wrestling like on TV anymore. Like, but I was massive into it when I was a kid. WWF and that. Like when it was Stone Cold and The Rock and like Triple H and all that. Like I would imagine like now like people like from my era and like above, like, well, if The Rock's come back, like they'll just watch it for that specific thing. But people who don't watch it anymore, so like the money's there to pay him that, isn't it? Because you might get an extra fucking 10 million people watching just that one specific show.
Like Logan Paul now, he's probably getting paid better than.
Oh, he's in the WWE, isn't he now?
I imagine Logan Paul gets.
Yeah, can you imagine the eyes who are watching WWE now who never used to watch it just because of him?
I imagine their ratings have shot up.
Like one of the biggest influences in the world. Like how many people watch Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, like KSI versus Logan Paul, Logan Paul versus Mayweather, like. If you're a draw, you're probably going to get paid a bit more than the guy who nobody... Like, if I named a wrestler, then you're like, who the fuck's that guy? But if I said, do you know Logan Paul? You know who Logan Paul is. Like, oh, Logan Paul's wrestling. Oh, actually,
so is Logan Paul fighting, like, the top guys, in it? Is he?
He's wrestled 3 matches, and, he wrestled Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Saudi Arabia.
So he's just, like, straight in with the top people?
Pretty much. I'm trying to think, did he wrestle... Has he done 4 matches or 3 matches? He's wrestled 2 WrestleManias and the Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia.
That's just your first time just starting, but he's got a wrestling background in still, and he's like
Olympic wrestling. He's got the whole fighting thing of fighting Mayweather and stuff as well. So and like he's clearly like an athletic person.
I think I've seen something about like. Obviously, everyone like think what you want about the Pauls and all that. They are daft as arseholes, but like. They actually are like very successful and very like athletic. Like I think like both of them have got a high school wrestling background, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, like that means fuck all in pro wrestling now. I guess like I don't have background in actual wrestling. But like,
I think it's just more the athletic side.
I mean, if you look at Logan Paul, like he's a good-looking 6'4", whatever he is, built like a fucking shithouse. Like
he are 2 units,
and like he's the only guy that'll go in there and not have a character. He goes in and he's Logan Paul.
Is that what it is?
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because he's his character in a way. It's a bit like Jake Paul as well. That
I suppose it's a bit like The Rock, isn't it? As well, like The Rock's The Rock, isn't he?
Well, The Rock's The Rock through wrestling,
but even that, like he carries that outside the WWE, doesn't he?
Well, he used to. I don't think he does his Ben Johnson now, but he used to.
He's still The Rock, though, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that people just call him The Rock.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's more known as The Rock than Dwayne Johnson, just because of what he's done prior.
Yeah. It's one of them where it's basically like if your character's larger than life, like it sells now, which is like where you get to, and like if you don't have a larger than life character, you're probably not actually gonna go anywhere in the wrestling business. Like you got to look at like one of the best sellers. Like look at McGregor, he's basically Vince McMahon, like doing the whole money walk and stuff. Like Jake Paul's like people's like, oh, he's a cunt, but he's probably just selling up to like.
That's what
it's all about.
You know these people like. Because like what they're like in the mid-20s are, and they're like, but like a lot of it is like because they're just so like they know how to manipulate the views and the streams. Like half of the time they probably don't even mean half of what they're saying. They're just like, if I do this and say this, it's going to make me loads of money.
I imagine like it's the same with like, I know fucking everybody hates Andrew Tate, but like he's definitely saying some stuff that he probably doesn't even believe because he knows if I say this,
it's
like
money,
like I heard like. He was talking in an interview once and he basically was like, oh, if I say men are stronger than women,
everyone's going to go mad.
If he said it was something like, if I say men are stronger than women, people would be like, okay, but if I say women are weaker than men, just the way of saying that one little thing, people, them people are trying to create their own brand of like selling themselves as something like that. They like it's like WWE characters being the heel is essentially what they're doing for views.
What was your character then? Like,
so,
what was your name?
Yeah, I wrestled under a mask because obviously I was really young.
So you weren't supposed to be doing it?
So, well, it's not so... I imagine
the
rules are a bit different now. I can't imagine,
like
if you're 12, you're probably allowed to do it now, but...
yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
Seems a bit young,
like, obviously,
I imagine it's child abuse now,
were you fighting other 12-year-olds in that?
Not really, like, there was only Brett who...
Tombstone and 12-year-old, 10-year-olds
I mean, like...
Obviously, like, we'll put some of your clips, like, up on the screen, like...
So I sent in, like, my first ever match when I was probably 13 was my first ever match. So, to be fair, in IWF, there was a few, like, maybe 5 or 6, like, all of us around the same age. And they had, like, a junior academy, so, like, you'd probably only wrestle, like, a 5-6 minute match. And it would just be middle of the card. We'd got the junior academy, and that was basically a way of selling to younger people in the crowd. Come train with us, sort of thing. Like it was more of a promotion, that whole thing, than actually like here's a really good match. It was more of like, oh, clearly these are like 14, 15-year-olds, but they're like the future or whatever. Like sell it like that. But like before each match, I imagine they were probably saying like, just to let you know, like if you come down to Jarrow Community Centre or wherever it was, every Sunday at this time you can become a wrestler, and then bring out the junior academy boys, have a little 5-minute match for a little trophy, and then then that would basically be
I can't imagine
so,
health and safety would be allowing that.
I don't think so.
I don't remember signing anything either.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, because like imagine like you're 13, 14 and like your knee pops out.
Yeah.
Like now you're getting sued for that.
Yeah, you are. Like, what was your wrestler name?
Katsu. I didn't make that up. So like. I don't think that would fly either now. Like
I've seen
to be honest, because I know they named it after like somebody probably walked past Yo Sushi. Yeah. Like I'm not even joking. Like that's probably how they ended up.
I've seen
it,
the videos that you like obviously forwarded on and that, and like you're like your character is a bit like looks a bit like the closest thing you described was like Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Like, it was probably because I was small and like all my stuff was like the high flying stuff. Like
is that what your like?
That was pretty much like this whole like there's a lot of like a bit of Japanese style wrestling in there.
Nice.
Like it was just like basically like at the time it was like I'm gonna have to wrestle under a mask, but at the time there was already somebody wrestling at say like similar age to me, called El Peligro, I believe. Is that the danger?
I love that.
So like they couldn't really have two Mexican lads or something, so they're like a lot of like Japanese mass wrestler out there. Like you got like, is it Tiger Kid or something like that? Like you got like loads of like in Japan, like a lot of the Japanese wrestlers also.
Is there any big promotions out there?
Wasn't there a Japanese?
Ultimate Dragon.
Ultimate Dragon, that was the guy.
Is that like their version of WWE?
Yeah, I would years ago, but then there was another guy. He didn't have a mask up. What was the other guy though? He used to spray that fucking green mist. Remember
Tajiri or something.
Tajiri, I remember that, the old Japanese.
Yeah,
that was like 90s.
I think I remember.
I can't remember his name. It was a Tajiri, was it?
Oh, something like that.
So what type of moves would you do in that?
A lot of like, to be honest, like 619 was never really like meant to be one of my moves, but like you walk out into a family show and all the kids are shouting 619 at you, even though you're wearing like dragon mask and like coming out with all these like Japanese moves and that. So like you end up doing a 619 anyway, just for the cheap.
Because they think you're giving them the Rey Mysterio back.
Yeah, I mean, like they want to see a 619. Like it's a bit like I was saying, like Ric Flair doesn't know what he's gonna do until he goes out there. So like if they're shouting 619, I just don't do a 619. They're just gonna be like, what a prick. I wanted to see a 619. Like why isn't it? And I couldn't really do a 619 either. So like whatever they were seeing like the most B-Tech 619. Like these are not like WWE ropes where the ropes are like tight as hell. Like these are ropes that just will come off in the match. Like there's like, I think I sent you one of the matches. It'll be me versus Carbon, and he throws us into the corner. I take a bump in the corner. The fucking bottom rope I haven't even hit falls off, and the whole spotters put me in the corner, lift me up, and I think he was meant to run in the corner and like spin around, put him on the top corner, give him a superplex, and like the fucking bottom rope come out, and it's just a big hook, like a big metal hook that you push in. But like you need like at least like if you saw people putting in a ring, it's like two guys just like belly to back just pushing these things in. So it's not something like the referee could just do on his own. There's probably like if like you need like people pulling on it. So like this thing come out, you're just like, well, let's just carry on. We're in this corner anyways. We're not going to swap over that end. So I give him a superplex, land flat on this fucking hook, sat straight up.
Jesus.
And like I was like, why the fuck? And
go up your ass.
But like, yeah, honestly, I was like, he was like, yeah, I just remember being like, I think we'll miss it. Bang, fuck, like straight onto it. And obviously he's like we're down there, and I think when it first came off, he like picked it up, started like choking me with it and stuff. Like,
just improvising.
So like they're the ropes that you got to do a 619 on. Like you might die. Like there's a good chance. Like you know, you go swing around, the rope goes like fucking like it was one of them things where like when you're running the ropes, best advice I ever got was like from Pac. Who we were talking about from Newcastle, who was at WWE. A lot of people, when they say run the ropes, like hit the ropes on the side, which is quite an old-fashioned way. You're always hooking the rope, but Pac always said like grab the bottom rope as well, like the middle rope. Sorry. So if that top rope goes, you're not going all the way back, because there will be clips somewhere where somebody's hit that rope, the rope's gone, and they've also just went out the ring with it. Like I imagine that's happened 100 times maybe. Like if you Google it, there's probably a couple of videos out there. So Pac was always like, just grab the middle rope. If that goes, you're at least like holding on to something. If you're going, you're going. Like it's a dangerous game. Like we're saying, it might be fake, but like just takes one guy to drop you on his head.
With the fake's probably the wrong way to describe wrestling. Because like technically it's like fake as in like you're not actually having a real fight, but like the reality of like the outcomes are fucking real, aren't it?
It's just like a live stunt show.
Exactly.
That's all it is. Like it's
a live stunt show with actors, isn't it?
It's like going to see the pantomime, but they're actually just like slapping people.
So, you know, like you say, like these the English people and like the European people who've made it over there, like in general, because people from Europe, like Ireland, Italy, and that, like you know, like William, what was he called? William Regal, and then that Sheamus and all that.
Yeah.
How do they get picked up? Like, what's the biggest organisation over here? Do they send scouts to the shows over here?
Over here now, I guess you got like, back when I was wrestling, there wasn't really loads of them. Back then, probably the biggest one going around was maybe like 1PW, and they put on shows with like AJ Styles versus Pac or something.
And then will they send WWE send scouts over or something?
Not so. I think you will get like, so when WWE come to, you know, when they do that UK run and European run, like it's usually one after WrestleMania, one around Survivor Series, I believe. So when they do that UK run, when they do the tapings down at like London O2, they'll have Monday Night Raw in London. They'll do the tapings, but before the tapings, they're doing trials. So a lot of the times, like I've known a few people who go down at London do like a WWE trial. No idea. I think like there's obviously like a liaison or like a scout or something that like will contact these people and like get them down. Back then, there's a different route now. I guess like you have NXT UK was a thing that they sort of were doing like a WWE performance center in England as well. In Europe and stuff, so it's obviously a bit different now. Back then it was more like build your name up on the indie scenes. You might go to Japan.
Must be so hard to like break through.
Especially like back before there was no internet. But I guess there
reality,
wasn't really many European wrestlers back then.
There's only like how many, like when you go to a percentage of like Europeans in the WWE, it's probably like not even 10% of them are Europeans.
I imagine it's a lot more now. I think whenever I watch it now, like you've got like Gunther. You've got like.
That's what I mean. I don't know about the up to date.
I don't know
like
new ones.
Yeah, like there's a few like there's Pete Dunne, who's from.
These are all in
England.
WWE now.
I swear he's like only like 23 or something, that kid, and he's at WWE now. And like so like there's a proper way. Like Triple H has basically started NXT, which is like WWE's third brand.
Yeah, is that like for the apprentices?
Yeah. So I think back before NXT they had FCW, which was in Florida, and nobody really gave a shit. Before that, they had Ohio Valley Wrestling, which is where you had Batista, CM Punk, Randy Orton all come through.
Batista was
it was my favourite.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar come through that. So like, there was a time when WWE bought some like their own little like indie shows and like signed people up like that. But it was like pretty much Triple H was like, I've got this idea where we're gonna have it's gonna be its own show in its own like studio style audience, a bit like TNA used to have back in Universal Studios. And they probably do like 3 tapings. It's probably free entry or whatever. And like they build up their own stars, and then like from there you've had like Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, whatever name you want to go by, Adam Cole, like Pac, like all these people have come up as NXT champion, then go onto the main roster, SmackDown, Raw, whatever. Roman Reigns, like these people all come through like the developmental system. So yeah, there's definitely a pathway. Whereas now, I think there's an actual decent pathway where they're signing athletes or indie stars, keeping them on a contract, training with like I say Shawn Michaels and that for a year or two, then get them on TV tapings, which have TV deals, and then obviously WWE have their own like Netflix sort of thing. So yeah, there's
levels to this.
Like
levels.
Where they are now, I imagine. Back when I was wrestling, like,
WWE
10 years ago,
$1 billion organisation, isn't it?
Oh mate, like like I say, like 10 years ago when I started, like there's no internet. Like I say, the website was Pixel. YouTube probably had a limit of like a 10-minute video at the time to upload. Like, do you remember the days when you had part 2, part 3 on YouTube? You couldn't upload a full length thing on YouTube back then. So everything's properly changed now.
In a rapid space of time as well.
Yeah, and like it's just a massive audience and stuff. So like it's like I imagine like to be picked up now. Like if your Instagram's popping off, you're getting booked by everybody across the world, and you've got a bit of a name. You're probably gonna get signed by AEW, TNA, or WWE. Like there's so many options for wrestlers now, and I know a lot of the WWE wrestlers that leave WWE get sacked. Probably are better off because they go into the indie scenes and they're working more than they ever have been. Like they're probably like money wise, merch wise, like they're doing so much better. Best example is Cody Rhodes. Like he was Dusty Rhodes' son. I don't know if you heard him, but like his story's great. Like he basically started at WWE like when he was like 19 or whatever it was.
His dad was a bit of a legend, wasn't he?
Yeah. His dad was like a big part of like NXT as well, of like training like a lot of these guys. And basically like Cody had basically done it the backwards way. Like everybody came from the indies, went to WWE. He was in WWE and then went to the indies and like recreated himself. Then went to AEW. Then only recently went back to WWE, and now he's a main event headline guy. Prior to that, they had him wrestling under the name Stardust. Like dressed like a clown doing fucking cartwheels. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so like a lot of these wrestlers now, like, go away, they come back as bigger people because the internet's such a big thing now. Like, you can create your own.
You can do what you want now on the internet, can't you? Like it's mad. Like back in the day, now with YouTube, you can just like be like set your own path to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And then if you've built yourself up independently as well, and when these companies come in and start saying, do you want to do this, do you want to do that, you're just like, nah mate, I'm me. Like, because if you don't want me anyway, I'm still making money off my own stuff.
Like, I think wrestling's probably like...
It's probably why Logan Paul's playing Logan Paul, because he's like, I'm fucking Logan Paul, mate. Like, I'm already fucking.
He's already
like,
built himself
I can't
up
go in
as
that
a
and pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, people be like, you're like one of the biggest podcasters out there at the minute. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't do Kevin Hart on one day and like, go to WWE and be called.
Who's your favourite of all time?
Back in the day, like.
Well, so just from all time.
All time. Yeah. When I was growing up, like CM Punk was pretty much the dog's bollocks. I don't know if you watched.
For me, Mark, because obviously I'm older.
That was my
years old. Time about CM Punk is UFC, and
that didn't go very well.
Yeah, Mark.
Fair dues for trying it, but like you're not going to be able to learn how to be a UFC fighter when
you're
40.
My era's like. Because obviously I'm a few years older, like my era's like The Rock and Stone Cold and that like...
That's when I first came in, like the Attitude Era.
Yeah, when I was like banging to wrestling was like, it was like
2005,
97 to like 2003 was my, like, when I was banging to it.
Yeah, like, I mean like my only like best way, like I love wrestling back then, like The Rock, Stone Cold and all that. But like when I was probably at my peak of like, especially like I say, when I started wrestling, this is 2007, which is sort of when CM Punk first come in, I sort of understood wrestling a bit more, and I was watching a lot of Ring of Honor and stuff, so there was guys like Samoa Joe, like Christopher Daniels, like CM Punk, all these, Bryan Danielson, like all these people on this Ring of Honor, because there was a time where my mom just was like, yeah, we're not getting Sky Sports anymore, so all I was watching was like Ring of Honor DVDs, TNA when it was on Bravo. I don't know if you remember Bravo. So you'd watch Dog the Bounty Hunter and then watch fucking
Dog the Bounty Hunter. It was off it like
this. It's been about for like absolute years. Like it goes all the way back to like your Hulk Hogan's and your
it was fucking like it's old.
Ultimate Warrior as well.
Talk to old people like your nana and granddads and like Big Daddy, and I'm like, don't know who the hell he is.
Oh yeah, Bret Hart and all that.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah, Andre the Giant, mate. He brought the world record for fucking most alcohol consumed in a session. Wow.
Yeah, but have you seen the photo of him with the can in his hand?
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's like, you know, them little mini fans.
Oh, is it stubby?
Like you know, them mini like sodas that you get like on a plane. Like a little Fanta thing. It was like that in his hand. If I was
but it was a pint can.
But it was like a fucking like. But like in America, I don't know if you've seen like their cans. They do like mad cans. If you had a can of Foster's in America, like they're probably like the size of that. Like literally, like if you go to Walmart and get yourself a beer.
See, I always thought American like tinnies were like, you know, like our cans of Coke, like stubbies. I always thought
they can get a lot of them. When I went to Canada, you could get like the best.
Because you do the Burma cans like that here, don't they? Yeah. Like the 330 ml.
Drinking culture out in America is completely different.
They can't drink, can they?
No, they're not allowed to drink. Like if we went down the park and had a few tinnies, like. The police aren't going to come by, but in America they're just going to like pop 3 bullets in you and shit.
Because obviously over there.
What you doing? What you doing? Yeah, if you're not mad to brown bag, like you're fucking.
I know what they all.
It's mad to think like the different. Like obviously I'd well rather be English and American just because like the laws and the way things are over there. But it's mad to think that like the way we judge like America for certain things like. But then you think like over here, like when you're 12, 13 and that, you're steaming in the park and that. And like over there, like they're like, yeah, you don't drink till you're 21 and that. Obviously they do, but I mean like it's not like.
I doubt there's many 12, 13-year-olds do.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it? Like,
no. Do what we would do.
Like it's not the same.
I imagine that alcoholics is a bit lower as well though. Like over here, it's like we started when we were 12.
Yeah, but the crack addicts are higher.
Yeah. The meth and that.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to have a crack about, I mean, because we've been talking about wrestling for quite a long time now.
Yeah, you could talk about phrases, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could keep going.
We'll do a second where we just do all wrestling again.
I love that. We should have a little tournament as well.
Yeah, can you remember the little like toy you used to get, but like the actual ring in that?
Oh yeah,
I used to play that with my mate when I was a kid.
The theme tune.
Yeah.
Have you seen like on TikTok that guy who builds arenas now? Like he fully builds like arenas and shit. and it's got like lights. It's got a big fucking Titantron shit.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I was just like, oh mate, if I had that back in the day when I was little, like I'd have absolutely loved that.
Mint.
But like, it's wrestling, man. You can talk.
Yeah, man.
I don't even watch it that much anymore now. Like
Yeah.
I'm so out the loop with it. I'll probably watch like the big events and stuff. Whereas now I'm just like, I'd like say,
People
I
do
started
still
training
go-
not long ago. People talk about wrestling. I was like,
I do see people like on social media now, like who obviously clearly don't watch wrestling because they don't post about it. But then all of a sudden, when WrestleMania's on, people still go mad for WrestleMania, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Like-
I mean, look how many people
Biggest
watch
one,
it
yeah.
worldwide. It's more than like Super Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. Like
I
it's
thought it'd be
crazy.
big, but I
Like,
didn't know it'd be that big. That's mental.
I mean, like people will watch just like I say, like it's WrestleMania. Like they had Donald Trump versus Vince McMahon or something one year.
Fuck off.
What?
Do you not remember
Donald
shit?
Trump had a little crack with Vince
Was it?
McMahon.
It was.
That's
No,
Mate, watch out.
it wasn't.
No, that can't be real.
Yeah, I don't think they wrestled. It was like it was like you are.
He took a Stone Cold Stunner.
What Trump did?
Trump did.
Trump
No.
did,
Off Stone Cold.
He shaved Vince's head, but
Where was that with this?
no, they didn't properly wrestle. I believe they had like Bobby Lashley represented like Trump or something, and then like Vince McMahon had somebody else represent them. So then whoever lost that match then ended up having to get the head shaved. So, but yeah, then Stone Cold come out, hit Trump with a stunner and shit.
That's amazing.
What a guy.
Funny as fuck.
Yeah, what a guy.
But obviously, yeah, as Ali was on about there, obviously you've been a little bit of a mosher and that back in your day, haven't you?
Yeah, I was a goth as well.
I think
like,
it must be a Chesley Street thing, because we like obviously
just know goths.
But
from
no, you
Chesley Street.
obviously
Straight
you,
in with
you
it,
I don't think you're too like clued up on like what we do musically on our side of stuff, and that, 'cause obviously we've already knew each other a short while. But we've got our mate Mickey Ticky. What's his full name, Mickey?
Michael Howard.
Mickey Rain Howard.
Where did Ticky come from?
He's from Chesley Street, right? And
Does he
he's
just
known.
take every
But
lane?
he's known as
Is that what it is?
It is,
Oh
yeah.
man, I'll give you it next week. I
he's
swear.
known as the Dark Lord, right?
Yeah.
And like
The Dark Lord, what Voldemort?
He's in
is
a
he?
death metal band.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
Jack used to be.
he's
in it as
actually
well.
not in a metal band, but he's just like he's
Fucking swing his fucking pony.
he's into all this, like he's into the darker side of stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't
continue
even
with it.
like.
I know, because you know when you look at
Yeah,
you
but
wouldn't even think that, like-
To be honest, mate, I was probably more into rather not so much death metal, more like post-hardcore, hardcore, pop punk was like my thing,
yeah.
pretty much. And
Is
like
that like Screamo?
yeah, a bit of both, like a bit
He's
of.
around it all.
Bit of,
Yeah.
like your hardcore, post-hardcore, like you'll have like a lot of clean vocals.
Obviously,
on
we'll
your
whack another-
choruses,
we'll
yeah,
whack a
so
little link
Where's
on
Slipknot in all that then?
probably on the metal
Metal.
spectrum of everything. Where
It's just hardcore heavier than metal.
It's hard to define all that sort of
it's
stuff
hard.
for me,
It's
yeah,
like
I don't-
there's so many different things. Like you got new metal where it might be Limp Bizkit, where it's that sort of rap metal. Like do you know what I mean? There's so many different like.
Yeah, so is Limp Bizkit
spin-offs.
classed as in the metal?
They're new metal,
Something like
I'd
that.
say. So well, they are.
Well,
new
obviously we'll
metal,
put a
so-
little link up of you doing your thing and that as well.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So like, there's so many different like sort of versions of it. You might get like your more popular stuff. You might get your straight up metal band of like I don't know, like an Avenged Sevenfold or something. I'm trying to think of the biggest sort of side of metal bands going. Yeah,
It's
so,
mad
like,
that I didn't know
it's-
like Limp Bizkit was like in the metal like umbrella. Like,
Limp Bizkit was the one back then. I don't know. Did you watch that?
What was that tune? There was only one that done the Undertaker, wasn't it?
yeah, he used to come out on the bike.
Yeah, when he
I
did
know,
American Badass. Yeah, he what's it called? Limp Bizkit. Have you not seen that?
Woodstock 99.
Woodstock. Yeah, yeah. Have
99,
you seen
yeah.
that
Yeah, I
Netflix
watched it,
documentary
yeah, it
where
was
like Limp Bizkit
ruthless.
come
Oh,
out and
actually,
just
yeah.
absolutely
At
trash
the end,
the
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
way.
It's
Well,
getting
that
carried about, isn't
documentary,
it?
Yeah,
Like,
they just caused a
Bob on.
fucking riot. Like that
Literally,
was
yeah.
like peak like new metal sort of days. Like there's not many. I'd say not many new metal bands kicking about now, but
You say
yeah,
like punk
like-
as well?
you are.
You say
I like
as
pop
well?
punk and stuff, you know, like when I was growing like I'd always come back from school, like whack Kerrang on, like, you know, you had your Green Days, you had Blink-182, Sum 41, like that was
Green Day were
sort,
pretty
that was
big
sort
at
of
the
what
time,
got me
one
into
time,
that
yeah.
side of alternative music, like you know, your Green Days, like American Idiot was live in 2004, like I was like, what an album, like say Blink-182 are just like unbelievable, Sum 41, obviously, them sort of things coming from like American Pie movies and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
What's it
literally.
called? Tony Hawk.
That was a mad little era, wasn't it?
Like,
Yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Hawk,
All
like,
that.
American
went through a phase.
All that sort of
all that
music.
around between 2002,
But you couldn't even make a movie like that.
The Offspring, there were so many different bands then when that's what I was growing up on. Like Linkin Park were coming, that was a new metal band. You got all these different bands that when I was growing up was
it Linkin Park who done a collab with Jay-Z? Was it then? Yeah.
You can't get it encore, do you?
Yeah, it was that, wasn't it?
That one's a banger as well.
That's synth at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you know when they dropped that though? I was before I heard it, because I think I was 16, 17 and that then. And
you heard it when you were 16, 17?
It would have been about then, yeah.
How old are you now?
30 odd, yeah. 30.
Nah, you would have been way younger than that, surely.
Nah.
When did that come out? Probably 2006.
Yeah, I was 16 then.
Yeah.
2004?
I'm 32, me.
Yeah,
exactly. It was 05 or 06, wasn't it?
Yeah, you might have been if I'm 28.
I think I'd left school 05 or 06.
I must have still been in end of primary school or something.
You would have been in your dad's ball bag?
Yeah, I probably would have been. I probably would have been as well.
So how did you get into music side?
Yeah, to be fair, pretty wild. So I always wanted to be in a metal band. To be honest, I didn't even know if I could. So for people that don't know, basically I was in a metal band called Built Upon Sound, and I used to do the scream vocals, the heavy vocals, which is exactly how when I say the word scream, you know exactly. No, I probably
you know when you come off stage, you throw haggard and that.
If I did it now,
17 packs of halls.
My voice would be able to do it.
Is that on your radar?
That's no way.
17 packs of halls on your riser, supers all over. Get down there.
Just suck a cock at the end of it. Your voice just builds up to doing it. It was one of them where there was this lad I knew when we were going to gigs. He was like, yeah, I'm starting a band. Then met two lads called Josh and Tom, who I'd never met before. We didn't have a drummer. We didn't have anybody else. It was pretty much just this other lad called Ethan, Tom, and Josh and me. We didn't even have a drummer. I don't know how the fuck that worked out, but we basically we're looking for a drummer. And we must have went through about
ambient metal. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? You can't really do that on a keyboard. But so we were looking pretty much for a drummer. Tried out a couple of people we got one person. He was all right, but he wasn't good enough. And basically brought in Ethan. Eventually was out the band. Can't remember what happened there. I think we kicked him out. I can't really remember. Then I brought in Joe from who I went to school with, and then we also brought in a lad called Adam that we also went to school with. So basically it was us who went to school, and then we also brought another lad called Michael in. Michael's still in a band now, and he's doing really well. But yeah, basically there was us four from school, and then another two lads that we didn't actually ever know, who we met through when I first started the band. And at the time I was actually learning to scream, to be honest. I didn't how do you know you can scream or not, unless you give it a go. So
are you actually saying anything?
Yeah,
100%. When it all sounds the same to me.
I think if you had the lyrics,
I'm trying to be ignorant.
I think if you had the lyrics in front of you while you were listening to a song there is some gobbledygook fucking bands that, don't get me wrong, it's
they aren't saying
I used to promote gigs as well in Newcastle, and we put some band called Aryan or some shit on, and they had or Asian, I can't remember what the fuck they were called, couldn't even pronounce it. They were from America, and they had the biggest prick tour agent I've ever met in our life. He was called EJ Shannons or something. He's not watching it, but he's a fucking cock. Honestly,
if you are, go and suck your mum's dick.
Honestly, he ended up. It just remind me about EJ Shannon later on. I'll tell you a funny story what happened to him during this gig. But basically, he had a band on that were on his label. They come on, and this guy was just going down the mic, and I was just and everybody in the room was like, "What the fuck is going on here? This is a signed band or whatever." So there is bands, where their logo looks like a tree, and they're just coming out like
turkey on the
so I'm like we were calling them the gobbledygooker and shit. We were like, what the hell was that all about? Like, so there is certain bands where I'm just like, I just can't get behind that at all. There's got to be some sort of melody to it. There's got to be some sort of like structure to the songs and stuff. And a lot of like the bands that I was listening to had like good like stories behind their songs or meanings behind their songs. Like where these like heavy metal bands are like Suffer the Lambs or like fucking Sacrifice Your Mom. Like, fucking, like that's what a lot of these bands are. It's like, why the fuck is anybody listening to this? Like,
they're just going too over the top.
Yeah, this is not cool at all. Like, this is just shite. Like, so
there is a situation. I mean, you can say it like for a lot of different music genres, but with like the metal like stuff, there is a lot of that dark like shit and all that involved.
Oh yeah, there's definitely like they do bring it upon themselves to be like bullied a little bit, but like it's just like it is true. It's like, come on, like just lift yourself out of it a little bit. But like there's like so
some people just hate the world.
Some people are just fucking like everything shit. Like.
Really.
I don't think any like when we were writing our songs, like none of them were really shit. Like they were all just sort of like quite positive and stuff. And there's a lot of like metal hardcore bands that do just do positive shit. Like you got like bands.
You get a lot of straight edge people in it, don't you?
Yeah, a lot of hardcore bands. You do get a lot of straight edge people. Like
you know James Cook. He does like he used to do the straight edge stuff, didn't he? I think he has a little drink in that here and there. Cook now.
That's straight edge. Like,
no, but back in the day,
he's looking, he's fucking.
Back in the day, he used to be in a straight edge band, didn't he? Yeah, like he's fucking I'm going back like nearly 10 years, and that was Cook.
Loyal Cook.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
That was a thing. Like it was. Do you know what though? Like that whole sort of scene was really good. Like everybody sort of looked out for each other. Like you go to them gigs, you're not like gonna get in a fight or anything. If you fall down in a pit, somebody's gonna pick you back up. Like
that's what I mean. That's one thing. That's one thing I've never understood. Them mosh pits, mate. Why do people go to a dance, mate, kick fuck out of each other? I don't get it.
I don't get like them.
Where do you draw the line where someone's just went wallop and then you're just like, sound mate,
I'll take that.
Wallop back. No, like what you mean?
It's different when like I don't know if like these slam bands, like there was like a time, especially in the northeast, where like slam bands were like a huge thing, and it was like beat down bands. It was like bong 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 bong, like, and all it was just people spin kicking people for no reason. Like there'd just be some guy clearly not wanting to be hurt in the corner, and some guy just big fucking elbow on the back of his head, and it's just like, why? Like you pick.
You
got a slam dunk at Leeds?
I used to go to slam dunk.
That's more punk stuff, isn't it?
Yes, it's probably one of my favourite festivals before it moved out of Leeds City.
It's more punk though, isn't
it? Slam dunk, yeah. Wait, they've got metal stages and then they've got pop punk stages where you might have like, you know, Neck Deep on or Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw something out there. You can clarify this for me and that.
Here we go.
No offence to anyone in that.
Do you know what he's about us?
Why do most of them people stink?
Which people? The people in the bands or the
like just people in that scene?
Because they're dancing a lot and get sweaty probably. Or do you just mean in general, like day-to-day life and that?
Lifting on some of them.
I don't know what it is. I think
you know what I mean though, don't you? See what I mean?
Yeah,
he knows what I mean.
He
knows what I mean though. See, he's thinking about it.
I'm thinking not everybody. I think you're thinking of more of a stereotype. It's like if I went, you work at CEX, you stink a beal. But then again, like, you know what I mean? Like fucking. There's just
big up CEX.
There's just like, you go into Warhammer and think, what the fuck is that smell? Like,
there's a lot of smelly people out there.
Yeah.
A lot of smelly people.
No, but like, I know what you mean in that. Like, obviously, big up to the BO community, but like.
I haven't got
there's that shop in there in Borough Town. What is that about, like that Warhammer, the little games thing? You walk in there, mate, it's fucking lifting.
Yeah.
Like
honestly, he goes in there every week.
Why do you go in there?
Exactly.
I don't even live in Borough, so I don't go in there, do I? But I've went in there when I was a kid and that, you know, you scope it out when you're mooching about town and that. You walk in there and you're like, oh, it's lifting.
Yeah.
It's always that same weird, like, feisty, like, offered smell though, isn't it?
I don't
I'd say the same records banned from Games Workshop.
It's probably the same in the wrestling industry as well, to be fair. Maybe that's
it's the same in our industry though. You go
but
everyone's lifting.
Do you know all the crusties in our scene? It's a different type of smell. They're lifting as well.
Can you break it down?
Yeah, I don't even know what a crusty
is.
Describe the two different
It's just
smells,
a different smell on the nostril, like, you know, when you're like the crusties and now see you're at Balti, you're at these festivals and all that bit, like, you look and you're like, fucking hell, you have, like, they stink to Bristol. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mate, how many more people do you want to piss off here?
Lifting out. Do you know what I mean?
He's got
Down the beer, has he?
Yeah,
Do you know what you smell like? Fucking slough, mate?
No, it's just a different smell, though.
It's just like metal fans or bands,
Crusties,
whatever, bought
Bristol,
together.
fucking-
Crusties, fucking Bristol, Games fucking Workshop, CEX.
No, he mentioned CEX. I said big up CEX.
There
No, but
is
you know
a
what I mean, though,
category
don't you?
No,
Like,
Yeah, but it's probably it's hardly fucking bijou, mate. Like, it's not like like, do you know what I mean? People are going in for a good time, probably sweat about a
Some
little
people
bit.
wash,
Whereas,
some
like,
people don't.
yeah,
that's true.
they're not the same people going to Tub Palace on a bank holiday. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same.
Yeah, but I don't go to tub in it and I fucking shower.
Maybe they think and look at you and think, smell like Bristol, you like.
Yeah.
You might smell like butter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do, and that's a lifting as well.
I'd like to think I didn't fucking stink, so there's probably a category in that scene where
No,
I
it is a
probably
very,
don't smell,
very
but-
stereotypical thing, and I was just going off my experiences of being like around like in certain environments, and I'm like, what's the crap with this here? Like, is it the aftershave or what? Because you know,
bad
like,
hygiene and bad standards of yourself. Like,
Yeah, that's
if you don't-
exactly
no, but that's what I'm saying. Why do
Probably
these
now to do
people
with
like corrugate to that
themselves to that.
scene? Yeah. That's
probably-
basically, honestly, he said
Yeah,
it way
it's-
better,
it's
and way
probably
more
just
politically
like-
correct than I should have ever
It's
said
probably
it.
just
No,
like,
100%. I definitely agree with it. I'm just flabbergasted you're still going on about it.
but those crusties, like, they're fucking, just drop it.
No, but you know, like the crusties, they call themselves crusties. They love it, don't they? Like,
Yeah.
but I just you did put it way better than I put it.
It's like I say, it's probably just like they don't really give a shit about the new 1 million pack of Rabanne that's out, and they're probably just like, a lot of them are, I'd probably, like I say, they might not be the most hygiene people in the world, but they're probably some of the nicest people you probably
Yeah,
meet as
100%.
well,
By the way, I
like,
wasn't slagging anyone off in that. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
We've got the leader of them all, mate. We've got like the fucking king of the Whitewaters, Mickey Ticky, mate. Like, we're not messing about.
Well, like, got like a staff or something. Like,
Well, we're not messing about round these parts. Do you know what I mean?
Good, right, yeah, let's before we start pissing off any more people.
Nah.
What's the situation with graphic design then?
so that's my full-time job.
Okay.
I want to go for a piss.
So like,
Go on,
yeah,
mate,
no
do
worries.
Go on and wear yourself.
Go have a breather outside for a minute. It's like these fucking goths, man. Like, sick of them. Sick of them.
Stinking everywhere I go.
Stealing my birds. Like, fucking.
After we moved on from the wrestling, so
Yeah.
you used to be a goth then.
Yeah. So what's this about you screaming, mate? Like, what's going on? So yeah, this is probably like graphic design is probably the only thing I've actually made profit in, because wrestling, like I've made money in wrestling, but not a lot of money in wrestling. Like, just like you're talking, like, go get yourself a Nando's money, and the band stuff, like, you're putting in money to get nothing out, which I guess you probably know all about. Like,
Yeah.
like, we basically spent maybe like $1,000 on an EP to get nothing back, pretty much. Like, you put yourself out there, it's like where everything like I've ever really done is always invested in it.
Right, better off doing that though, mate, because the last thing you want to do is look back in your life in 20 years' time and go, I fucking wish I
Didn't
did
try
that.
Yeah, give it a go. Like, the way I always looked at it is like, you wouldn't go to a job interview not wearing a suit or looking
of
sharp.
course.
So like, if you're gonna present yourself in any like industry, like, do it the best way. Like, if somebody's gonna come across your band, like, make sure that you're got the cleanest professional looking logo, album art. When you're on stage, like, have you got the scrims and stuff on the back? Like, do you, like, have you got all the right equipment to sound as best as you can? Does your music video look top dollar? Because anybody clicking on your video by accident, like, they might just think, oh, like, these look big, these look signed, and then they're going to pay more attention. If you had something on a shitty camcorder, they're probably not going to give it much time. But like, graphic design, like, basically built into, like, it started through wrestling. So like, I was doing event posters and stuff at IWF. That's where I started learning how to use Photoshop and stuff. Then I also learned how to edit videos. Like, originally I wanted to be a video editor. Like, that was what I originally wanted to be. But the more I was doing band stuff, the more I was doing like my own gigs, promoting. Like I found myself just doing a lot more graphic design stuff. And then pretty much at the end of the whole wrestling thing, came down to Leeds to go to Beckett, do graphic design, and then now I'm working full time as a graphic designer for a company called Arc Inspiration. So they own like Box and Manhattan. And then like obviously I've done like freelance stuff in the past as well. So yeah, there's.
You can drop me the company link in and all that if you want.
What, Arc Inspirations?
Yeah. If you want to pick them up, if you don't care about them, we can fuck them off.
You can have it, like, get yourself down to, like, Box, Manhattan, Banyan, massive brands that are, like, getting bigger now. Like, it's a sick company to work for.
Yeah, we're bigger.
Like, as a graphic designer, like, working on design every single day is, like, I'm so much better now than when previous to working in the job. Like, you just become so accustomed. Like, I'm doing like working with, I don't know if you look at After Effects, if you heard After Effects. I'm doing a lot more like motion animation stuff now, as well as just static graphics. So like, and that's all just through working full time as a graphic designer now.
Nice. Have a couple of music videos up.
Yeah, I used After Effects for a little bit.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah, it's hard. Like I got a torrented version and it's not exporting my my videos.
Yeah, so like you got a cheat code.
Why is that?
You what?
Why is that?
Because it's in that version,
isn't
it? Like it's
you can play on it, but you can't.
Yeah, like it's just like when I'm going to export
it, like
it's not working and that. So
could you not just screen record what you've made?
Yeah.
It's a good idea, but it's lagging. It's lagging like So when so like it's like I've made like a design like that, and then say I put one of my new tunes behind it, and then as each beat is hitting, it's like making things pop off the design. Do you know, like on the logo or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the idea. But the music's not playing properly. Like it's going slow and then fast, and there's just loads of bugs in it, and that I think.
Yeah, you've been sold it.
What is that? Because it's
no, I've not been sold it. Like I downloaded it.
Yeah, that's like
I think I need to invest.
Invest in it, because it, like I say, it's like buying a DVD in a pub. Like you're not gonna get the best quality.
No, that's it. Like
if you got Pirates of the Caribbean on a little knockoff DVD player, like it's not gonna be the best. But if you download it on Amazon Prime, it's gonna look the dog's bollocks. So
that's it. Like
you can say, I'm pretty sure you can say you're a student these days on Adobe, and you pay like 20 quid a month, you get all Photoshop.
Yeah, the full Adobe.
I don't even think I might be wrong, but like I'm pretty sure.
Can you do it a monthly thing? Yeah.
Yeah, you just pay like 30-40 quid a month or something.
Because it's worth investing, like, because we like obviously need a lot of like art and a lot of like media stuff done for NSA and that. And I've always wanted to like sort of be doing it ourselves rather than having to pay people. It costs a fortune, but it
is a spenny thing. Like, I mean, like I'd literally just say just go for it. If you're gonna use it every day, you may as well have all the Adobe stuff, because especially with Adobe, you get Adobe stock and you can have all the stock, like free stock stuff. Obviously you can have stuff where you buy the credits for, but if you want certain assets, you can get them off Adobe stock for free, all high quality stuff. Which is what you you'd sort of need for it all. But like graphic design's just like, I love it, mate. Like it's not just design anymore. Like you have to be able to be a fucking video editor, graphic designer, motion designer. Like you got to be like on top of it. Like it's moving forward now. Like this whole like Figma stuff. I don't know if you heard. Like it's like web design, app design. Like everything like that is now part of graphic design. Like so it's crazy. Like the world we're in now. Like it's not just like, imagine graphic design back in the day was probably just like editing magazines and newspapers. You know what I mean? Like where now it's like If the thing is, like I look at like some job adverts now and it's like, can you do all these things? I'm like, that's not a graphic designer, that's a design studio, mate. Like
but they're advertising.
If you're one guy, like it's just like, that's crazy. Like you want it to be all that, but you got to be now, because like if you're not glued up everything, people.
So are the uni courses covering all them bits now?
Uni courses don't even cover everything. Like you probably learn most of your shit working and doing anything. Like you may as well just work for free if you can't get any paid work, and just because you're gonna learn stuff anyways. Like you're gonna learn more than that than some guy who's on a course that doesn't really give a shit anyways, just been shown the same stuff that they show on YouTube tutorials anyways. Like I think like for graphic designers and stuff now is like just learn most of your stuff on the internet. Like you don't probably need to. If you want to do that and like you think, oh, don't like want to go to uni, don't go to uni. Get yourself like a full-time job or something. And then learn graphic design in the background, because it's all on ability and talent rate more than what your certificate tells you are. Because there's probably people who got better grades than me at uni or whatever, and they're doing alright, like, but they're probably not even graphic designers anymore. Like uni's a bit of a rip off these days anyways. Like what, it's $9,000 a year for 3 days a week, 2 half days, and now you're in 40 grand's worth of debt. Like,
I'm paying off my student loan every month now these days, like, and I was like, I enjoyed uni, like, learn bits and bobs and that, but like, yeah.
We're in for half of it.
I don't think either of you as well.
I was in the
hardly went in.
Oh yeah, you had 2% more attendance than me.
Fucking, what was that? Fucking half a day.
They don't care though, do they? When you get there, like,
we passed them.
We passed.
We got a 2-1. Thank you very much.
I mean, I know people who like literally. There's people who've like paid people to do their degree, like finish their essays and stuff, and they've got a degree now. Like, the whole thing's bullshit. You can probably use AI now to write your essays.
Yeah, so that's the fucking thing, isn't it, now these days?
There's definitely like AIs that do your dissertations and
stuff.
Yeah,
but ChatGPT 4. If you tell it to do like the bar exam to be a solicitor, it passes with 98% accuracy. How terrifying is that?
Yeah, but then you just get found out in the courtroom, don't you?
Yeah, true. Like, you don't have
they start asking you questions like, "Can I go to the toilet?" He's asked me a question, mate, like, "What do you do?" There will be like, what's it called? I think a place like you say in courtrooms and stuff where AI could probably be your lawyer.
Yeah,
and like you've got like something like a Siri voice or whatever, and like you're talking to AI lawyer. Yeah, like but where does AI go with it? Like it's
terrifying. That guy, one of the guys who like was like one of the founders of like AI and stuff who worked for Google. He's like quit because he said like he's terrified.
Yeah, he said that the other week, didn't he? Where he was like,
it's nuts, isn't it?
Because they were saying like there's a real danger of AI being like involved with nuclear codes and shit. Like, you don't want to have AI with like nuclear access. Because like fuck it.
It's like you can set people up as well, though, can't you? Like say like obviously now you can say like you can get loads of like videos or voice clips of you having normal conversations. Then you type something up, then it says it in your voice. It could be setting people up for like fucking, you know, like say anything, literally anything. Like. Pretend like admitting to a murder that you actually haven't done.
Mate, take it one step further, mate. Like, what if you get to the point where it's like AI's doing that to people?
Yeah,
like, AI's like picking people out at random, going on, going to make a fucking off a video about these and put it out there, and like you haven't even got access. It's like uploaded onto social media. And stuff like
I'm sure I was like listening about somebody had a thing where they like scammers are using AI now to like thingy your voice, so that if you sent it to like ring your mom or something, for example, it would sound like you being like, "Oh, can you send me money?"
That's scary.
Like so like they
shit, so it's like ringing people's mums and parents and friends.
Like, mom, it's thingy. I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere. Can you just send me this to this account because I haven't got access to stuff. I don't know how they get a hold of your voice, but maybe it's
like his voice notes and that, and you pay like so much for this website. And you give it some source information, and then from that source information, from all the syllables and just how you sound,
it creates a soundboard of you.
Type up like a speech or whatever.
We can make
the more source information, the more accurate it sounds.
Yeah.
So he did them for a couple of people and that, and he was just like, send me some voice notes, so you just put random stuff in that, and input it.
Well, most of the people that you can imitate is like podcasters now. Like there was that somebody made a full Joe Rogan advert.
And it was a full podcast.
It was like because it was like, oh, like, do you know what I use? What do you use? I use this like thingy. It makes my balls like fucking 10 times bigger. Like whatever. Like making adverts out of stuff that Joe Rogan didn't even say. Like there's obviously certain tones to the way somebody like Joe Rogan would say something, but it will get to a point where you're like, I don't even know. Like
because considering it's so new and how like much advanced it already is, can you imagine it in like 3-5 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you'd be like, you won't be able to tell the difference.
Could start wars, that shit, innit?
Yeah. Well, it probably will.
The president of USA said this. In Russia.
Probably will.
It is crazy.
What we saying on time?
1 hour 10.
Yeah, happy days.
Wrap it up, yeah.
Wrap it up there,
We'll have to get you back on, mate, because there's too much. There's too much to talk about.
Like some stuff that I probably haven't even touched on that I can. But watch it back.
We'll do another one. And I had a quiz as well for today for the crack.
You what?
I had a quiz for today for the crack.
Still try.
Should we just do it?
Don't just do the quiz.
Just split it into 2 halves if you need to.
Yeah. So
what we do is just shouting out.
So basically, these are the ground rules, right? So
get the rule. Who's the scorer?
The scorer. So we're gonna have Dean as a scorer, yeah.
Big man Dean.
Basically, to answer, you just shout your name out. First person I hear shout their name out will get to answer the question.
So like.
Each point's worth 1. Each question's worth 1 point.
So like Newcastle.
How many is it?
Jack, yes.
Yeah. So then you say Jack.
I'll say Boddy, yeah.
Oh yes, you say Boddy. You'll say Jack. You Charlie, yeah.
Okay.
And what we'll do is edit the scores underneath the lads.
Right.
How many questions?
Well, I've got quite a lot, so I'll probably shorten it down a bit and that. We'll do 10, eh?
Yeah.
We'll do
Newcastle kick off in half an hour, so
we'll do 10.
need to watch them smash Arsenal. That could backfire.
It's going to be 3-1 to Arsenal.
Do not clip that, because it's going to be like 5-0 Arsenal.
3-1 to Arsenal.
So, let's begin. What word is spelt incorrectly in every dictionary?
Boddy.
Incorrectly.
You said
Incorrectly.
incorrectly.
I already knew it.
You have to say it.
I already knew it, but like, it's fine. Sorry.
So Boddy takes that point. You have to shout Ollie and then answer. All right.
I know you just said that to me.
Right. What is the loudest animal in the world?
Ollie.
Jack.
Lion.
No.
Jack. Whale.
Which type of whale, Jack?
Yeah, shall.
The fucking biggest one in the world.
Humpback. A blue whale.
Humpback.
No.
Ollie. Sperm whale.
Yes.
Sperm. Is that the biggest one though?
No,
Sperm.
I'm not sure, but like.
Blue whale's the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, blue whale's the biggest one.
What is the capital of Brazil?
Ollie.
That was a draw.
That was a draw. That. What is the capital of Brazil?
Ollie. He's just saying it louder than me. Go on.
Brasilia.
Yeah.
I was gonna say fucking Rio de Janeiro anyway. So.
What is the second largest mountain in the world?
Boddy. Fuck. No, I was thinking that Mount Everest is wrong, but that was.
Ollie.
Jack.
Kilimanjaro.
No.
It is fucking Everest. I thought it was Everest and Kilimanjaro was the biggest. Or is it the other way around?
We would have said yes when I said it.
Oh fuck. Can I have another shout? Can I go again? Ollie. K2.
Yeah.
Is it?
Never even heard of
That's the second biggest.
Second biggest mountain.
So where's fucking... What's the order then?
Everest.
The top three?
Everest, K2, and then like fucking Kilimanjaro on that, I think.
Is it? I thought they were the top two, mate.
No, I've never even heard of K2, to be honest.
What is a group of crows called?
Boddy. A flock.
No. Ollie. A murder.
Yeah.
A murder of crows, is
No.
it? You must be about 4-0 up here.
Yeah, he's doing well, like. Which part of the body is fully grown at birth?
Ollie. Eyes.
Yes.
Is that a part of your body though?
No, mate. I'm just
Is that a part of your body though?
Yeah, it's part of the body.
Is that a part of your
No,
body?
but like, it's not like something
dropped
that's
off
growing
into
like
it,
on
is
you
that?
and that. Is it like it's like in
Part
you,
of
isn't
the
it?
body,
Yeah, it's mad.
I've actually not seen these answers, by the way. Like,
Have you not?
just like general knowledge.
He definitely has it. He's like,
Again, this is about the body. What is the largest organ in the human body?
your heart.
No.
Oh,
Ollie.
Your appendix.
You have to shout Jack.
Jack.
It's wrong.
Your skin.
Your skin.
It's organ. Your skin's your organ.
Skin's an organ, mate.
This is fucking. You wrote these on.
This is target this.
What is the largest bone in the body?
Jack. Spine.
Ollie. Femur.
Yeah.
This is set up, this, isn't it?
Wait, no.
These two
Keep going
travelled.
until Jack gets one.
These two travelled here in the car together.
Right, the next ones, right? I'll do a couple of music questions.
Alright.
Couple of music questions, yeah. What musical key do most cars honk in?
Mate, fuck off.
Have a guess.
I'm just going to say, Ollie, just for a guess, middle C. I know it's
No.
Boddy, E minor.
No, close up.
Fuck all that bollocks, mate.
I don't know.
It was
G-sharp.
F minor.
F minor.
I was close.
Alright.
What rock icon was the founder of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Long-Haired Men?
Say that again.
What? The Society to Cruelty to Long-Haired Men.
What rock icon was the founder of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Long-Haired Men?
Jack, Ozzy Osbourne.
No.
Ollie Steven Tyler.
No.
Oh wait, it's all
Sting.
seen this.
Mate, how would I know? Like,
Dean, John Lennon.
No.
It's your scene.
Mate, this is ridiculous. Like, fuck knows, tell us. I can't even think of anybody that.
David Bowie.
That's mad.
Should have just thought of the weirdest guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Eminem's 8 Mile is named after which road? After a road in which city?
Detroit. Oh fuck, Jack.
Detroit.
Yeah. Who was the first woman ever to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Boddy. Joan Jett.
No.
That was a good one.
Oh fuck. Ollie, Janis Joplin.
No.
No, fucking hell.
Jack?
Dean.
I was going to say Janis Joplin as well, to be fair.
Boddy. Fucking Dolly Parton.
No.
Oh, could have been great. Shout that one.
Alright, last guess. Ollie, it's miles away. It's not even the sound of music, but like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's probably got loads
That's
of
why
people
I'm
that do
thinking-
Hall of
that's
Fame.
why I was
Aretha
thinking-
Franklin.
Yeah.
Fucking get
Go
it.
on,
That's why I was thinking as a Dolly Parton
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like thinking of
Joke
somebody
in this.
metal.
Believe it or not, Jimi Hendrix only had one top 40 hit. Which song was it?
Boddy. Purple Rain.
No.
That's Prince.
Oh, it is Prince, isn't
Yeah. Ollie, Little Wing.
No. No. All Along the Watchtower.
Oh, fair bit.
Last one.
Last one.
It's
Which
game
is-
over anyway. It's about 9-0.
Last one. Which astronomer is name dropped in Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, Ollie, Galileo.
Galileo!
What did that score finish up as?
What's
Fuck.
that?
Yeah, so
9.
I smashed it.
Smashed it,
basically.
kids.
Bro.
You travelled in the car together.
Right.
Bag of shit.
Next time you write the questions.
Oh,
you
yeah,
just
mate, you're right, mate. I'll smash
Write
it all, mate. I love Johnny
He's a
Motion,
clever lad.
mate.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyway, guys, much appreciated for locking in as always. We had the boy or body with us. Hopefully, we're getting back on again soon. Watch how you go. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, don't tell me.
Fuck the King's coronation, the little
Yeah,
sausage.
fuck them as well.
Fuck Bristol.